Hi guys, thanks to David Waters and Doug Montgomery for their question about playing off of slopes with the ball above the feet and below the feet. The aim of this video is to discuss what you need to implement into your setup in these different positions, and then what the different position is going to do to the ball and how you can correct it. So first things first, we're going to have a look at what you need to do in your setup from these different situations, and then we'll move on to the next stage. So when the ball is above the feet, the ball is not only closer to you, but as the club goes upwards, the shaft are going to sit flatter. So because of both of these things, you're going to need to stand further away and also grip down the club. So get into your setup position and set the club to the slope, so where you need to stand. Let your arms hang, and then wherever they fall, you grip the club. You'll notice that I'm gripping much lower down the club itself, but from here, that's going to be a more comfortable setup position, rather than trying to set to it normally and standing quite tall. So set the club to the slope, see where you need to stand, and then allow your arms to hang and grip the club wherever you want. And then you can take your normal setup position. Depending on the severity, you may stand slightly more upright, but in this situation, this is okay. So when the ball is below the feet, it can be much harder to keep your balance. You'll see how the ball is further away from me. So how we want to create the extra distance there, first of all, is to create a wider stance, which is going to lower us a little and create a bit sturdier base. And now we don't want to sit into the slope, which can be very tempting here, because what's going to happen now is that heel is going to sit right into the slope, and it's probably going to dig and turn the club over. So we want to stand nice and tall first, go over from the hips and take our chest down the slope, and then brace the knees but keep the backside out. There we can stay over the ball with a nice wider stance, rather than doing what is going to be quite tempting to do and going to be sit into the slope, into the backside. So wider stance to lower yourself over from the chest and flex the knees, and that's going to be easier to keep the balance. So now we've had a look at the different setup positions that we need to implement. We're going to have a look at the effect that the slope has on the aim, because this is the biggest factor that we need to take into account when playing from these different positions, and potentially the biggest learning you'll have from this video. So really try and make a note on the differences that we're going to need to implement here, because they can really be a benefit when you're out on the course. So this is with a sand wedge, and as the handle of the club gets lower, so with the ball above the feet, you can see how the aim goes to the left, and as the handle gets higher, so this is with the ball below your feet, the aim goes up to the right. Now this is going to affect where the ball goes, and you're going to have to alter your aim accordingly to try and get this club face aim towards your desired target. Now when we go into a full iron, you'll see how the same thing happens, but far less. So because there's less loft on the club, there's not so much change in where the actual club face aim points. So you're going to have to estimate as to what loft you're using, what club you're using. So the more loft is going to affect it greater, and also how severe the slope is. So the more severe the slope, the more it's going to change it too. And these will be factored into your decision making. So in summary, create a setup that you have enough stability and balance on the different ground conditions. You can potentially take one more club so that you don't have to hit it quite so hard. That can also help you to keep more stability. And then most importantly, you need to change your aim. So remember, a general rule of thumb is that you're going to aim up the slope. Wherever the slope is falling, that's the direction the ball wants to travel. Okay? So if the ball is on a down slope, it's going to send the ball down the slope. So your rule of thumb is always aim more up the slope. The greater the loft on the club itself, or the more severe the slope, the more you need to aim and account for it. Hope that helps.